Podcast. Real news. Analyzed by real intelligence.
Okay, so get this right. Today we're diving into something pretty amazing. We're talking Polaris Dawn, a privately funded space mission, and get this, they just pulled off the first ever commercial spacewalk. I know. You're probably thinking, wait, haven't we seen spacewalks before?
I agree.
Yeah, we have. Like the moon landing or those Hubble telescope repairs. Iconic, right?
Absolutely.
But those were all government-led, NASA and all that. This is different. This time, it's a private company pushing the boundaries, and that's where things get really, really interesting. We're diving into a CNN article today, and they've got this short video, too. And let me tell you, it's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
What we're seeing here is basically a new era of space exploration. You've got companies like SpaceX really leading the charge. I mean, think about it for a second. They've gone from just sending cargo up to the ISS to launching astronauts into orbit. It's amazing.
Right.
It's not just like catching a ride anymore.
Exactly.
Polaris Dawn is like a whole other level. It's saying, hey, private companies can achieve these huge milestones, and they can do it all on their own.
Yeah, totally. And it's not your typical astronaut crew either. We're talking about Jared Isaacman. He's a billionaire CEO. There's Scott Kid Poteet, a former Air Force pilot. And to top it off, two SpaceX engineers, Anna Menon and Sarah Gillis.
Wow.
It's like a dream team, for space. And here's something I find really cool. They're doing all this in a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule. And this isn't some, experimental thing. This is the same spacecraft that NASA uses for its own missions.
Oh, wow.
Which I think really says a lot about how far these private space ventures have come, both with technology and safety.
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of safety, let's talk about the spacewalk for a minute. We're talking about leaving a pressurized capsule, right? And relying on these suits, these specialized suits for survival in space.
It's easy to forget how dangerous that actually is.
It really is. It's incredible. And it's a real testament to how good SpaceX's engineering is. They managed to develop those suits in just 2.5 years, which, when you compare it to the time it takes government agencies, is just a fraction.
2.5 years. Wow, that's incredibly fast, especially for something as complex as a spacesuit.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy, right? It just shows you what they can do.
And they're setting records, too. They actually went the farthest distance, farther than any human has traveled from Earth since the Apollo missions. Can you believe it? We're talking over 50 years.
I know. It's unbelievable. It really makes you think about how far we've come. I mean, this isn't just about breaking records, It's about pushing those boundaries, reaching that distance. It just opens up so many possibilities for future exploration.
It's mind-blowing. I can't even imagine what it must look like from way out there.
It's got to be something else. CNN actually released some footage. The capsule, set against space 870 miles above Earth. It's incredible.
Wow. And you know what else is wild? They went right through the Van Allen radiation belts.
Oh, yeah.
Now, for those of us who didn't pay attention in science class, what exactly are those again?
So basically, they're like these zones, two of them shaped like donuts, and they're full of these super high-energy particles. They surround Earth, held in place by Earth's magnetic field. And they're basically a huge radiation hazard to spacecraft, to humans, you name it.
So, pretty dangerous stuff.
Yeah, most missions try to steer clear of them altogether.
Makes sense. So these guys, they volunteered for this, knowing they'd be flying straight through that. That's some serious dedication to space exploration.
It really is. They're pushing the limits for sure. And, while the spacewalk was a success, we got to remember the mission isn't over yet.
Oh, right. They still have to get back.
Exactly. Splashdown, coming back to Earth, that always carries its own risks and challenges.
True. And I imagine with the Crew Dragon, there's a limited time they can stay up there, right?
Exactly. It's got a limited life support window. About 5 to 6 days.
So the clock is definitely ticking.
It really is. Adds a whole other level of tension to things.
I know, right? It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Knowing they have a limited time up there just adds to the whole drama of it. But you know what gets me? It's the speed. 2.5 years to develop a spacesuit? That's unheard of.
It really is something else, especially when you could compare it to, government agencies, right?
Totally.
SpaceX, with their private funding and that super agile approach, they've got a real advantage.
It makes you wonder, what else could they do? I mean, with even more resources, more time. But it's not just about speed, is it? It's more like what that speed represents. This whole fundamental shift in how we approach space exploration.
Exactly. For decades, it was all about superpowers, right? Space exploration, it was this symbol, national pride, technological dominance. But now, you've got these companies like SpaceX, and they're changing the game. It's not about planting flags anymore. It's about pushing the limits of, well, everything. Human knowledge, innovation, and they're doing it faster than ever.
And let's be real, they're not afraid of a little risk either. Going through those Van Allen radiation belts, that was a bold move.
No kidding, it takes guts. And, it highlights another difference between that traditional way of doing things and what these private companies are doing. They're bolder, they're willing to take those risks to reach for those bigger goals.
It's like they're rewriting the rule book for space, And they're doing it with this sense of adventure.
That's inspiring.
It really is.
Makes you remember that drive, that human need to explore. It's still there. And it's not just about reaching for the stars anymore. It's about doing it faster, bolder, making space more accessible to everyone.
It feels like we're on the edge of something huge, doesn't it? I mean, if a private company can pull off a spacewalk, what's next? Seriously, what other boundaries are we going to push? I don't know about you, but I am so excited to see what happens next. And hey, while we wait for Polaris Dawn to splash back down to Earth, let's keep asking those questions. Let's keep dreaming big. Who knows what incredible discoveries are out there just waiting for us to find them. As long as we keep pushing those limits, the sky's the limit, right? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.
I am podcast. Real news analyzed by real intelligence.